Hey, I'm here with Stephen Peaden of Restore Physical Therapy in Panama City, Florida, to talk a little bit about kind of his business experience and what he's been through. So, Stephen, you want to give us a little bit of background about your ownership, private practice, and getting into Restore?
Yeah, sure. So I've been an outpatient physical therapist for almost 20 years now. I just opened Restore Physical Therapy. April will actually be 3 years that we've been open. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was open probably um, about 11 months to a year before I started coaching with Sturdy. And it wasn't so much of a not it wasn't not knowing what to do and how to run a business because I'd already had that set up, but it was more of a confirmation and a validation of where I thought I was going to need to go. Kind of not to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, when you're trying to uh, start and grow a physical therapy clinic. So yes, he was very beneficial as far as just again validating what a lot of my ideas and reasoning was and where I needed to go with advertising, business management, so on and so forth.
So going back to that first 11 months in business, and even before, as you were kind of getting organized and starting and making that jump, where was your head? What were you thinking? What were the kind of misgivings, challenges for you at that time?
Well, I've always worked outpatient and kind of knew, just the processes of billing and marketing and advertising and that kind of thing. But I didn't really have something set in stone like KPIs and a
Mhm.
set schedule for um, marketing to doctors and how I was going to go about growing. Um, what goals were set. I really didn't have goals set per se as far as written down.
Mhm.
I didn't have a schedule or a routine um, that was systematic, whereas now I do.
Okay. And what kind of triggered you to take action to engage? I mean, look for a coach to engage me. What was the impetus behind that?
Well, I had seen other people online that, well, and classmates from physical therapy school from years ago
Mhm.
that had had mentioned that they had used a coach in the past and they were very helpful. And so um, I don't really remember how I got hooked up with Sturdy, but I think it was maybe just somebody that I paid attention to online that I really liked how their um, practice was set up, and I think I really just looked online after just finding some of his experiences and who he had come across. I think Sturdy just came up on the website, and I really um, bought into what was on the website and um, just the mindset there.
Thanks. I mean, that's cool. But
You're welcome.
you're also saying you heard and saw the people who are having success with the coaches. I'd like to revisit. You had mentioned earlier too that doing this, not reinventing the wheel. I think that's a huge point.
Right.
There's so many practice owners out there, business owners that are like they're going through it all themselves, running into these challenges and trying to overcome them when there are hundreds or thousands of other people who have already done that, and that there is a process,
Right.
there is a way, so you
Right.
can fast forward that. So over like the past year or so, what's been the one biggest or most impactful thing for you in your business?
Well, it's again, I'll go back to those KPIs where you're able to um, focus on five basic indicators and drive your practice from those. Also, being able to project as the month goes along where you need to be and use that data to say, hey, I need to market more here. I need to go see this doctor. This physician is giving me um, more referrals than others. That way you can kind of move and flow with what the local market um, is really giving you. So the KPIs have helped a lot. The something else, the one-page strategic plan helps me stay focused on my goals. The ultimate end goal, as well as we also put down the 3 and 1 year goals, so you can see how they incrementally build on each other.
Love it.
But then another hurdle, again, that the coaching and all of this, the KPIs and everything, the one-page strategic plan really helped with was back during Hurricane Michael back in October of 2018. The area was devastated, and if it wasn't for my contact with Sturdy and he helped me to kind of, keep my head down and work and work with what I had at the time, because the area was just devastated. Population, a significant amount of the patient population that I was working with had left, but I was able to recover by more of a grassroots effort in marketing and being able to once again take advantage of what the environment offered me, with the fact that there were also therapy clinics that were not operational from the damage. And so I was able to kind of, I don't mean to say use it to my advantage, but if I didn't have the structure in place, I think it would have been very hard to overcome that catastrophe.
Well, and when you say devastated, you really literally mean devastated. There were places shut down, there were buildings lost. I remember talking to you and you were pulling the awning out of the pond behind your building at one point, right? You were shut down, people were evacuated that worked for you for not as long a time as some of the other places, but I mean, this was a real, it could have, I don't know if anybody lost their businesses, but it had that potential.
Yeah, it was pretty bad at the time. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and to your credit, you did an amazing job of focusing, getting down to work, and really salvaging that and doing. I mean, truly, you deserve all the credit for the work you put in and what you did there. That was huge. Cool. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life now, as far as like time, revenue, team, people, all that stuff.
Well, I back the April of last year, I was able to. I already had a physical therapy assistant. I was able to hire another full-time physical therapist last April, and she is still with me today. My original therapy assistant that I hired when I first opened, she has moved on, and she was a casualty from the storm, so to speak. She now lives in Tallahassee. But I was able to hire another physical therapy assistant to replace her, and we are. I'm running probably around. I think last month was 27% profit margin, whereas when we started, before I started Sturdy, again it was in the infancy stages of the business and that kind of thing. But one of the things that, to Sturdy's credit, one of the first things he mentioned after my first conversation with him on those Tuesday afternoons was, his comment was, "Let's make sure that I'm paying for myself." And so it was very well. I mean, it was. I mean, yeah. You wonder. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that aren't so worried about that, and that was kind of a reassuring feeling that he was concerned that I felt at ease as far as partaking in this adventure here.
Well, you've gone a long way past that too, with 27% margin. That's
yes, we're doing pretty well.
nice work, man. So what would you recommend if there are people like either starting out, or sometimes I know that folks have been doing this for a while, but they kind of get stuck at whatever stage, whether that's 5 employees or 10 or 20 or whatever. What would you recommend that they kind of do to move their business forward, to break through?
Well, again, it's easier for me because I didn't really have to back up and start over and revamp a lot of processes, because I was really in the startup phases when you and I first met and talked on the phone and decided that this was going to be a good thing. but really, I mean, just one of your big points was those weekly meetings with employees, just to make sure that you're engaging them, that they know their job and they know your job. That what my job is business owner, but also manager and problem solver for them, outside of not just being a therapist, but you know being a business owner. What hurdles can I help them overcome, um, and make this thing successful, make it roll, make them feel like make them be happy that they're coming to work here in the morning.
If your team succeeds, then you're
Absolutely.
successful.
You succeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All day long.
Cool. Cool. Well, any other parting thoughts for people just in general around their business? I've heard you talk about the KPI structure, um, using the strategic plan, long-term goals, and planning to make decisions. Um, Anything else you would add?
So I would say that something else that was huge with this whole process is finding your target customer. Your target customer is going to help you drive your advertising, your marketing, your treatment plans. If you stay focused on that one person, everything else will fall into line. You're not gonna have every patient be that target customer, but it's a whole lot easier to enjoy your work if that's who you're getting out of bed for in the morning. If you're getting out of bed for that target customer, all the other patients that aren't necessarily your target customer, they're going to show up and they're still going to get better as well. Um,
So you basically took that, and that again informs your decisions. Is that right?
yes, yes,
Like what you decide to do, what programs you pursue, how you do your messaging, and focusing in on that person. And just for anybody who's listening this far, one of the things we worked on too was not designing or defining the target customer based on kind of traditional demographic models
right,
of like age range and gender and maybe ethnicity and income and all that stuff, but really going more a psychographic model of what do they value, what are their behaviors, who are they as an individual. And in my experience so far, that's one of the things that's really kind of move the needle on this whole target customer concept and idea. It makes
right,
them more real,
sure, yes,
in my mind.
absolutely,
I mean, ultimately for me, one of my big pushes is I don't care what gender you are. I don't care, ethnicity, religion, income, any of the rest of it doesn't matter. If you value what we do, if you're motivated,
right,
if you want to work hard, all that other stuff kind of goes away, but that's still how people kind of traditionally define that person.
right, right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so that's helped you to really connect with those people and get them
Yeah,
in.
oh yeah.
You've grown.
Um, I mean, the one of my target customers, the recreational CrossFitter, um, that, and now, again, after working with Sturdy for a year and a half, almost, I mean, we're close to 2 years now, maybe, but they now come to, they see me at the CrossFit gym and say, hey, can you look at this for a minute? And I don't mind.
Mhm.
You kind of, I read something this morning where they said you got to give value to get value. And
Sure.
so if you spend that 5 minutes with somebody at the gym, you know, talking to them about their shoulder or shoes or clean and jerk technique, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
they might not need you, but they know somebody who does.
Right, right. No, that's brilliant. And just to be clear, you graduated a while ago, so we were working together a little over a year, but it's been two
Right.
years since we
Yeah.
started.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. I just wanted, if anybody's listening to this, that they're like, oh, well, wait a minute.
Well,
Yeah. So, but just to clarify that, but I absolutely agree. And along those lines, if you are still listening to this and watching with Stephen and me, that's what I model and do as well. So that's why I offer the free coaching call and stuff, because I'm hoping to help people out. If this is stuff that's resonating with you, give me a call, let me know, and I'm happy to sit down and meet with you, and whether or not it's a long-term fit. So cool. Thank you, Stephen. This was awesome. Thank you very much for sharing and being open about, all the things that sometimes business owners don't want to talk about.
No problem. Happy to do it.
Really, really appreciate it. Thanks.